I've been reflecting more frequently on the world all around me, how we as organisms are affected by the environments around us. Quoting the late John Prine, old trees just grow stronger and old rivers grow wilder every day. Robert Frost wrote in prose the similarities of woodland nature and human society in the poem The Road Not Taken. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. The way we navigate life, the choices we make, and the reflections upon which we take. This is a story about that. When I walk through a healthy forest, if I'm paying attention, it's hard not to make a comparison to everyday life and the beautiful cyclical symphony that is the life cycle of our planet. As the mighty oak falls in the wood and is reclaimed by the dirt, the bugs, and the fungi, it gives new life to the soil and makes way for new growth. Flora sprouting from the composting black soil, the plants reach toward the star our planet revolves around. The thing we humans set our clocks to, what governs our calendars to make plans for our lives. The sun. All that is trying to grow in this environment are given the same basic opportunity. Fertile soil, nutrients, rainfall, and sunlight. The older trees in their deep roots reaching into the ground to hold as a strong base, reaping the nourishment of the minerals in the ground as they grow to the sky. When these trees have grown and lived to know what it is to be a strong, mighty tree, they retire to the forest floor to make room for the next generation to grow and reach for the brightest light. To stand taller than the rest, to overcome any adverse conditions, to keep growing so that one day, a new tree will stand in its place, tall in the forest, providing shade to those who need it, a home to creatures without, and to offer a calmness to people, humans, who have created such a bustling, distracting fool's paradise that we need to get away from it and take a walk in the woods. If you've been a long-time viewer of this channel, these notions probably won't surprise you. I'm often trying to breathe new life into once-forgotten tools held by the craftspeople that have come before me. Craftspeople whom without I'd have no place to grow my own roots, to try to thrive and reach for the sun. To stand above the rest and to give shelter to those beneath. I've spoken about the concept of wabisabi and the reverence we should give to the imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete. The asymmetrical and unique. As I reflect on this, I try to stay connected and grounded to the life happening all around me despite myself. A tree is a tree. It doesn't think about being a tree, it just grows. A flower doesn't care how pretty it is, just that it gets sunlight and water, and hopefully a bee or a hummingbird will help spread its pollen to create new beauty through the world. In the Zen world, I've been told, this way of thinking is something akin to what's known as beginner's mind. I've been keeping reminders of my roots from which I take hold, trying not to lose sight of my beginnings and the fundamental skills taught to me by those who have come before me in the crafts. Mentors who took me under the canopy of their prowess and gave me an environment to thrive. Understanding the strength of my timber and the way it resonates in the ears of the people who will listen. Sharing what I have learned through trial and solution. As I start my days as the sun rises after getting the kids ready, kissing my wife and wishing her a good day at work, I drink my tea and think about the day's work to be done, constantly trying to find a balance between productivity and doing meaningful work, when to pay most attention to detail and when to realize what's good enough. I drink my tea and think, where do my materials come from and how do I pay homage? Am I being a good steward of our resources? Am I teaching my children to do the same? What makes my work important? Most of my work ends up in some sort of living space, a home or an office, a kitchen or a dining room. This is where form versus function comes into play. How do I impart the natural beauty of an organic material into the rigid confines of a functional piece? One of my current favorite pieces is a silly little train table I built for my children, Callum and Morgan. It lives in the loft of our home I built with my dad on property gifted to us by my grandparents. It's where our kids play and we have our nighttime routine before bed. There's no fancy joinery, just pocket hole construction for the legs and apron. The top I made from black oak I milled off the property some years ago. Nestled in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, a train runs on an ancient track along the edge of the property which can be seen and heard from the loft as my kids make up games to play at the table. The rail was once known as the C&O Railroad, and an old station was not far from where I write this. The legs are reclaimed white oak given to me by a friend who rescued the timbers from an old barn slated to be demolished to make way for new construction. This silly little table encompasses all of my romantic objectives when making furniture, marrying the old and the new, giving reverence to old ways and embracing the new. I watch my children play with their toy trains on a seemingly simple table, not knowing or caring about the history behind what went into making it, but only making fun. Kids, just being kids, just as a tree is a tree and a flower is a flower growing from their roots, reaching for the brightest light. Thanks for watching.